everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Jerome Strickland channel. We're glad to have you back tonight. Glad to feel your spirit in the place tonight. I want to thank you for coming back to my channel. Yes. Today, we are back with another esoteric, spiritual lesson for your mind today. Something to help you out in this spiritual walk. Something for the light beings today. Well, without further ado, let's get on with the message. Today, I want to talk to y'all about the samurai. You know, most of my life, I have been fascinated with the samurai. What kind of man goes into a life or death fight where you are dealing with swinging sharp edges, and you know the other person's only goal at that particular point in his life is to kill you. And as I thought about the samurai, I thought about the spiritual connotation. Did you know everything in the physical has a spiritual connotation? Meaning, everything you see and hear in the physical, there is a spiritual lesson to be learned. And this is the same with the samurai. And I looked at the samurai, and I looked at what is the spiritual connotation of the samurai. First of all, I want to give you a little history lesson about the samurai. You see, there are three types of samurai. There is the samurai assassin. The emperor will usually send out the samurai assassin to assassinate his enemies before his enemies can get to him. He would have ninjas and samurai specifically designed to go out to assassinate his enemies. The other type of samurai would be the samurai protector. And his job was to protect the emperor from the assassin. And as the one emperor would send the other samurai out to assassinate his enemy, the other emperor would set up samurai to protect him. And whoever is the most skilled samurai wins the battle, and the objective is achieved. But there's a third type of samurai I want to talk about. This is the Ronin samurai. What is a Ronin samurai? He simply roams the land accepting whatever challenges may come his way. Many times when you are a good samurai, many other samurai will challenge you, even most of the time to the death. And this type of samurai, he's not an assassin or a protector. He simply roams the land, taking on whatever challenges may come his way. And as he roams the land, every once in a while, another samurai would face off on him. And he would have a reputation of a good samurai. And the samurai would challenge him just for the purpose of being the better samurai. So what is the spiritual connotation in this? We are talking about spirituality and the spiritual samurai. As a spiritual-like being, you are one of these three samurais in the spirit. You are either protecting, assassinating, or roaming. When you become the Ronin samurai, you are simply taking on all of the challenges. You see, many spiritual beings, many light beings, are trying to achieve peace in their life. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want anything to come and challenge them. But don't you know it is the challenge that makes you stronger? So I tell all the spiritual beings, all the light beings, become a spiritual samurai. Stop running from the challenge and start accepting the challenge. Yes, you must begin to be like the spiritual samurai. And as the spiritual samurai roams the land, he will come up against other samurai that are just as skilled as him. So what I want to do here today is give you some lessons of the spiritual samurai. My lessons from looking at and studying the samurai, I would like to give you my lessons, my spiritual lessons on the spiritual samurai. You must become a spiritual samurai. Lesson number 1, the challenge and the response. When you are a light being, you have people will challenge you in the spirit, on your job, in the streets, in the store. There's a frequency and vibrational war going on, an unseen war going on in our communities, in our lives, in our world, in our atmosphere. And it is against the angels and the demons. And this is all placed on a spiritual battlefield. And as you, as a light being, as a spiritual being, travel through this plane of existence, you will encounter challenges from your enemies. What is your response? Do you try to maintain the peace? Do you run away? Or do you get your sword at the ready? Do you run? Do you try to make peace? Or do you get ready? Yes. Are you ready? You see, a samurai is always ready for the fight. A samurai always has his hand on his sword, ready to pull it out at any time. The samurai never runs from the fight. The samurai is always ready for the fight. And as a spiritual being, you got to quit running from the fight. Quit saying to yourself, you see, they know that you want peace, and they will use that against you. They will pretend to like you and be your friend. They will pretend to allow you into their group. But it's a trap. And the samurai knows this. One of the tactics of the samurai's enemy is that they pretend to be his friend. And then when he's least expecting it and he's not ready, they pull their sword, only to realize that he was never his friend. As a spiritual samurai, you've got to be ready for the fight. And your response should be not running from the fight, not trying to be buddy-buddy with your enemy, but be ready to pull your spiritual sword. That is your response. Yes. And one thing I've learned about the samurai is the samurai not only studies himself, but he studies his opponent. He knows exactly by the stance of his opponent, by the look in his opponent's eyes, by the demeanor, by the aura of his opponent, what kind of way he should fight. In other words, as a spiritual samurai, you must study. You must study yourself, hone your skills. You see, when the samurai, the Ronin samurai, is not eating and sleeping, he is practicing, honing his skills. The Ronin samurai has a very simple life. Eat, sleep, and be ready. Eat, sleep, and be ready. You've got to be ready for the spiritual warfare. And it takes gaining knowledge of you, of yourself, and your opponent. You see, the spiritual being wants peace. But how can you have peace in warfare? The only way you're going to achieve peace is to take out your opponent. Yes, we all would like to have peace. But you must become a spiritual samurai. You must take out them that are trying to take you out. What am I saying here today? Stop running from the fight. Stop trying to make peace. And be at the ready. That is your response. Stop running from the spiritual warfare. Stop trying to make peace. And get ready for the fight. This is spiritual warfare, folks. It's not a game anymore. You must be a spiritual samurai. One other thing I learned about the spiritual samurai is that he doesn't talk much. He doesn't expose himself. He doesn't allow his enemy to see too much of him. He does not allow the enemy to see into his soul. You see how they see into your soul is they look into your eyes. How they see into your soul is they dissect your words. How they see into your soul is they analyze your body language. And by that, they see what you're all about. But the true spiritual samurai has a poker face. He does not allow himself to look afraid. He does not allow himself to look unsure. He does not allow himself to look vulnerable. No, he is very stoic and he is very solid. You see, in the spiritual warfare, you cannot allow your enemy to look into your soul, because once they figure out where your soul is, they will try to take it. Do not allow them. This is why I believe in the stoic lifestyle, meaning staying away from indulgence, staying away from trying to be buddy-buddy with everybody, staying away from trying to get people to like you, staying away from making yourself vulnerable, but simply be ready. The samurai is always ready. The samurai doesn't run from the fight. The samurai studies himself. The samurai knows his own capabilities. The samurai focuses on one thing: eating, sleeping, and most important of all, being ready. Are you ready? Are you a spiritual samurai? How do you see yourself? How have you seen yourself in the past? Somebody who was always trying to have peace? Somebody who shied away from the fight? Or do you see yourself as somebody that is ready for whatever? The spiritual samurai. You see, in this life, in a samurai's life, he will encounter many opponents with different types of skills, with different ranges of skills. And so when he goes into this battle, he must be able to adapt. You see, as a spiritual samurai, you've got to adapt. As a spiritual samurai, you've got to be able to adapt to the fight. Sometimes your enemy may be even more skilled than you. Sometimes your enemy may have better weapons than you. But the true tactician knows that the real fight is in the mind. The real fight is in the mind. If I can just get in his mind, if I can just play with his mind, he will become my puppet. As you go through this life in this spiritual warfare, you will come across many spiritual beings that is coming up against you, many demonic beings that is coming up against you. And they will have different types and different ways and different tactics to come up against you to try and take your soul. But you have to be adaptable, like the samurai. So I say here today, be ready for the fight. Know yourself, know your enemy, and be adaptable. Many of you find yourselves in situations on your jobs. Many of you find yourself in situations in your homes. Many of yourself find yourself in situations in society. And you have not realized that this is spiritual warfare. And until you become adaptable, you will get beaten. You must be adaptable. Yes. I'm not going to hold y'all long tonight. You see, this whole world, this whole existence is about frequency and vibration. It is about spiritual warfare. And until you understand this, you will continue to get slammed on the ground. You will continue to be deceived and manipulated. You will continue to fall short until you change your perspective Stop running. Stop trying to make peace and make yourself ready for the spiritual warfare. Only then will you begin to emerge victorious. You see, as you travel through this life, you're going to meet people that you are okay with and that are okay with you. And y'all going to get along great. And it's going to be a beautiful relationship. And embrace those relationships. Love those relationships. Cultivate those relationships. But unfortunately, the truth is, most of the time, you are going to encounter a spiritual enemy that wants to challenge you, that wants to take you out. And for this, because of this, you must be ready. Yes. So, you must know this. You must know the basic fighting skills of a samurai. The samurai holds his sword tight, but not too tight. When he needs to bring power behind his sword, he uses two hands. When he needs speed and agility, he uses one hand. He never takes his eyes off his opponent. He spins to the left and to the right, depending on the direction his opponent is swinging. If his opponent swings at him on the left side of his body, he will basically spin to the right. If his opponent swings on the other side of his body, he will basically spin to the left. And as he's spinning, he will come back with his sword. And if his opponent is not ready to block, he will strike his opponent. What am I saying here today? The spiritual samurai must have balance. Not too tight, not too loose. Know when to spin and know what direction to spin in. Know when to defend and know when to strike. These are basic tactics of the samurai. See, as a spiritual samurai, you must know when to attack and when to defend. Yes. And you got to know when to spin. You got to know when to use power, and you got to know when to use finesse. Be a spiritual samurai. I'm going to give you about 2 more pointers right now. Then I'm going to let y'all have your day back. You see, as you go through this life, you can't be indecisive. You must decide what side you're going to be on. Either you're going to be on the spiritual side, or you're going to be on the side of the matrix. You see, the samurai that are the protectors, the samurai that are assassins, are part of the matrix. But the samurai that is the Ronin is not part of the matrix. He has left that lifestyle. He simply roams the land. Most of the time he is alone. Most of the time he says nothing. He's only at all times ready for the spiritual warfare. He is all times ready for the fight. You see, the moment that you are not ready, that is the moment you will lose. So I say be ready. This is spiritual warfare, and you must become a spiritual samurai as you walk this path. As you find yourself alone, as you find yourself in all kinds of spiritual situations where your enemy is trying to take your soul, do not let your enemy take your soul. Don't try to be friends with your enemy. Don't turn your back on your enemy. Do not run from your enemy. Only be ready for the fight. Yes. Are you ready for the spiritual warfare? Be ready. This is spiritual warfare. You must become a Ronin samurai in this spiritual warfare. You see, the Ronin samurai does not seek out to kill anyone. He is simply ready for the challenge. And if you challenge the samurai, you must be ready to meet your defeat. Because the samurai will not run. The samurai knows himself. The samurai is balanced. The samurai is sure. The samurai has already figured you out before the fight even begins. He's watched your body language. He's looked into your eyes. And he's analyzed your words. Now, he knows how to come at you. However, the samurai will remain silent and just observe. Well, I don't want to hold y'all long tonight. I just want to teach you a few lessons about the spiritual samurai and how to be ready for the fight. Be ready. Be ready. Be balanced. Do not turn your back on your enemy. Do not allow your enemy into tricking you, into thinking he's your friend. You must be prepared at all times. Don't say too many words. Don't make too many bodily movements. In other words, stay stoic and focused. Be a spiritual samurai. As you walk this path of spirituality. Be ready. Well, that's my video for today. Just wanted to give y'all a little bit of esoteric wisdom. And I wanted to use the samurai as spiritual connotation of how light beings, spiritual beings in the spirit should walk this earth. I know it's hard for some of you to probably conceive to be like this. But the way things are now in the spiritual realm, the way the spiritual warfare is, it is a must that you become like the samurai, the spiritual samurai. I'm Jerome Strickland. I want to thank y'all for coming back to my video. I want you to continue to be ready for the fight. And I will be posting another video soon. And we will have some more spiritual lessons for you. I'm Jerome Strickland. I'm out. Ha!